Be ready. Start. The only point for consideration here is whether or not the division bench of the Madhya Pradesh High Court was justified in declaring Clause D, Article 45 of Schedule 1-A of the Indian Stamp Act 1899, for short 1899 Act, which was brought in by the Indian Stamp Madhya Pradesh Amendment Act 2002, for short MP 2002 Act, as unconstitutional, being violative of Article 14 of the Constitution of India. The above point arises in this way. Two writ petitions came to be filed before the Madhya Pradesh High Court. In both writ petitions, initially it was prayed that clauses F and F1, Article 48, Schedule 1A, brought in the 1899 Act by Section 3 of the Indian Stamp Madhya Pradesh Amendment Act 1997, for short MP 1997 Act, be declared ultra vires. During the pendency of these petitions, the 1899 Act, as applicable to Madhya Pradesh, was further amended by the MP 2002 Act. The respondent, referred to as writ petitioners, amended their writ petitions and prayed that Clause D, Article 45 of Schedule 1A of the 1899 Act, as substituted by MP 2002 Act, be declared ultra vires. The writ petitioners set up the case that original Article 48 of the 1899 Act, Schedule 1A, prescribed stamp duty payable at Rs 10 if attorney was appointed for a single transaction. By MP 1997 Act, Article 48, Clause F was substituted by Clauses F and F1. Clause F1 provided that where power of attorney was executed without consideration in favor of person who is not his or her spouse or children or mother or father, and authorizes him to sell or transfer any immovable property, the stamp duty would be leviable as if the transaction is conveyance under Article 23. Explanation 2, inserted by MP 1997 Act, provided that where under clauses F and F1 duty had been paid on the power of attorney and a conveyance relating to that property was executed in pursuance of power of attorney between the executant of the power of attorney and the person in whose favor it was executed, the duty on conveyance should be the duty calculated on the market value of the property reduced by duty paid on the power of attorney. By MP 2002 Act, stamp duty relating to power of attorney has been prescribed in Article 45 of Schedule 1A. Clause D thereof prescribes stamp duty at 2% of the market value of the property, which is subject matter of power of attorney when power of attorney is given without consideration to a person other than father, mother, wife or husband, son or daughter, brother or sister in relation to the executant, and authorizing such person to sell immovable property situated in Madhya Pradesh. The writ petitioners pleaded inter alia that the distinction between an agent who was a blood relation and who was an outsider carved out in Article 45, Clause D was legally impermissible. The provision violates Article 14 of the Constitution as it has sought to create unreasonable classification. The state of Madhya Pradesh stoutly defended the challenge to the above provisions and stated before the High Court that the matter of rate of stamp duty was solely in the domain of state legislature and none of the provisions of the Constitution was offended by the above provisions. The division bench of the High Court has accepted the constitutional challenge to Clause D, Article 45 of Schedule 1A brought in the 1899 Act by MP 2002 Act and held that the said provision was violative of Article 14 of the Constitution of India. It lays a postulate sick that when the power of authority is given without consideration to a person other than the father, mother, wife or husband, son or daughter, brother or sister in relation to the executant and authorizing such person to sell immovable property, 2% on the market value of the property is to be collected. Submission of Mr. Agrawal is that this clause is absolutely unreasonable and smacks of arbitrariness, as there is no rationale to include the category of persons who have been included and to leave out to all other persons. Mr. S.K. Yadav, learned government advocate, submitted that near relatives can constitute a class by itself and all others can fit into a different category, and therefore the said provision does not offend the concept of classification, as there is intelligible differentia. On a first blush, the aforesaid submission of the learned counsel for the state appears to be quite attractive, but on a deeper probe, it is not what it is. In the guise of the classification, something has been stated in the said provision. Thank you.